So the easiest way to understand why your airway is collapsing, whether it be snoring or obstructive sleep apnea, is actually to understand Bernoulli's principle. Now, Bernoulli was a scientist a long time ago that came up with a principle of aero and fluid dynamics. I know that sounds complicated, but give me a chance to explain. You see, when there's an increase in speed of fluid or air through a given area, the pressure will simultaneously decrease. So the best example that we can look at for that is a real ice cream shake. Now, if you've ever had one of these, you know that when you get that shake and you stick the straw inside, the first thing you do, sucking on the straw, actually gets nowhere. Nothing is produced. Yet, when you suck on it a second time, probably a little bit harder, that straw will collapse. That is Bernoulli's principle in real life. What it means is the speed of the air inside the straw that you were sucking on got faster than the air that was sitting outside of the straw, and it caused a decrease in pressure or a vacuum inside of that straw, making it collapse. Now we're going to demonstrate that with a regular plastic straw. But what we need to do is put our finger on the end and suck on the straw. And I want to see how hard it is to do that. If you have a straw at home, go ahead and do this with me. If you need to pause the video to grab one, go ahead and do that now. We're going to do this together. So we're going to suck, suck, suck. And as you can see, the straw actually collapses completely on itself. Now, if we're going to take this example of Bernoulli's principle and what we've just learned about this straw in a shake, to understand how it affects our airway or how that applies, we need to flip the straw upside down. Because you see, our lungs and our diaphragm are the muscles in our body that are responsible to breathe in and out, right? And as we're doing that, if the back of our throat, the base of our tongue, that soft palate hanging down, if those soft tissues collapse, that's where the collapse happens, not on the bottom like with the shake. That's why we turn it upside down. So if our throat actually starts to collapse and our lungs and our diaphragm are doing their job and trying to continue to breathe in and out, then we're going to have a vacuum effect in our airway, and it will tighten that collapse. And the body knows when our breathing pattern changes, the split second that it does. Yet in patients with apnea or airway disorders, the problem is that there's so much fatigue built up in the body, the brain starts trading 1 second of oxygen for sleep at a time. I said that right. The brain is deliberately trading 1 second of oxygen, which is what the brain thrives and lives on, for 1 second of sleep, what it so desperately needs, at a time. So it's really important to understand that when our airway is collapsing and it's happening at night, like in a sleep disorder, as we've discussed, it can cause detrimental impact on not only our fatigue levels, but also on how our body is operating at night while we're sleeping.